does seem like the off-roading paid off. You will not believe what we had to go through to get here, because we didn't realize that there was an easier way in. But, hello. Very happy to see all these girls and all of the cubs around here. Now, the impala at the back have been giving them a bit of trouble, because it seems like only now they've realized that there's 11 hungry lions very close to them. And they have been alarming and going psh, psh. So I don't know if you can hear it in the background. But the lions are definitely not bothered by it. I mean, look at that. Happy Pride, all sleeping down. I wonder if Tumba has been looking at lions lately, because he was sleeping exactly like this lioness, and funny enough, I had never seen a leopard sleep like that until yesterday. Most of them sleep like this other cats over here. And it is quite hot out in the sun, so I am surprised to see them still here rather than moving further into the shade. But as Seb was pointing out, it seems like there's a bit of a hole somewhere in there where they are, where he was busy looking, and it's almost like it's sucking in some of the lions. So I wonder if perhaps that sandy patch is a bit cooler, and that's why they've all decided to stay there. So all the females out pretty much in the sun, and just 3 cubs all the way in the shade, right over there. But they are hiding behind the bushes, so it's not a great view of them, unlike this circle of lions we've got. They're also feeling very, very sleepy, this one's. I think just the one is looking at the impala. CJ, you're saying they're so beautiful. We completely agree. I think this pride always looks healthy, even when they look hungry. So the fact that there are a few impala around, and then we've seen tracks for giraffe coming this way, and some more zebra tracks. Now, what was that? I can't see anything behind us, but they've clearly spotted something that got all of their attention. Seb, can you see anything behind you?
Just impalas.
So just impala, but interesting. What have you girls seen? It's definitely not us. I think perhaps they spotted, or they realized there was a potential prey not too far from here, and whatever it was, we couldn't even hear it. But you see how amazing this was. They went all from being very, very sleepy to suddenly awake and into stalking mode. And we can't move around all too much. We've got one of them just behind us, so we're going to try and have a bit of a closer look at what she's looking at once they all move around a little bit. Steph, you're saying that maybe it's a male coming towards them. It could be a possibility. However, just judging by their look, I'm more inclined to think that perhaps they've spotted a prey. It is quite interesting. Just the females and one of the cubs looking in that general direction. I think this is a very good example of why you can never underestimate a sleeping pride of lions. We thought that they were completely fast asleep, and even when we arrived, they didn't even wink an eye at us, not even looked at us, and all of a sudden, something in their natural world that they definitely smelt or heard, that got all of their attention. And all of a sudden, poof, 11 lions woke up, just like that. I can still hear the impala in the distance, so I wonder if maybe that's what she's after. So we've got this female over here that she is busy looking in the direction of the other female, and just in the direction where the impala are alarming, and she's looking very intently. So I think maybe she's just waiting to figure out what it is that the other female is going to get up to before she decides if it's worth it or not getting up and moving. Very interesting. Okay, well, we've got one of them that has decided that this is clearly not worth her time and gone back to sleep. I don't know, is she still behind us?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm not gonna move because she is literally right behind us. Sorry guys, so we can't really turn around and show you. Just going to, because if we move, we might get in the way of any possible reaction that might happen either from the leopard or from the lion or from the prey species. So we're just gonna stick around here and stay put to see how it plays out. Justin, you say it's almost like they sleep with one eye open. It is indeed, and I think their fantastic sense of hearing and smell played a very definitive part in what we just saw. While they were all sleeping down, and like we said, in just one split of a second, 11 lions got their head ups and started looking very intently in a certain direction. So it's also good, clear indication that they're all hungry, they're all looking for food, and I think that's probably their main focus, or that has been their main focus in the last few days. But as you can imagine, with 6 cubs that are growing and they're becoming bigger and bigger every day, then their hunting requirements are going to become pretty much just as big as these lions. It's not easy to feed so many lions all together, so I think that's probably why last winter they targeted buffalo. It was a perfect prey species for so many of them, and to try and get the little ones to get up to shape. Although we had the incident with the white muscle disease where the buffaloes that they were eating were actually not that healthy, and it was a bit of a problem for them. This winter and up to this point, however, I have only seen maybe 5 buffalo in total. So not too many of them. The last ones we saw were about 2 days ago. Oh, okay. Definitely looking at the impala in the distance behind us. I think maybe at one point the males were either clashing their horns or making a bit too much noise. And I wonder if it's not perhaps that same herd of impala, that bachelor herd that we saw this morning with the one that was injured. Seemed like this little cub had a bit of a limp. I'm not too sure if maybe he was just being lazy by walking. Interesting. I think our lions have completely changed priorities now, and then whenever there's a good opportunity to hunt, they might just take it. Although if nothing plays out of it, and if the impala carry on moving away from us, then I think likely they'll go back to sleep and try their luck a little bit later once it's darker and cooler, and they can move around for a little bit more, but also when they've got that perfect cover of darkness to camouflage their movements. They've been raving. You're wondering if they will ever split into 2 prides. It does happen when the prides are very, very big and you start having way too many lions in the same group, that they split for some time so that they're able to fully satisfy their hunting needs and nutritional needs. I have seen it before where very big prides, that the best example I can think of is the southern pride. At one point there were just about 28 lions in between cubs and bigger cubs and females, and the one male that was pretty much the one that sired all those cubs. And there was a smaller group of 2 females, I think, that used to spend some time away and then come back, and there will be others females missing. So it does happen that when the prides get a bit too big and their territory is not big enough for them, that they'll start moving around, or that they'll start splitting up. Seems like there's somebody that's coming to join us. Sorry guys, I've just got to speak on the radio. Alright, seems there's like somebody coming to join us. But I think maybe the excitement of the impala has, up to an extent, passed. Seems like they're all quite still intent looking in that direction. No, that's hundreds. They were just looking at some impala that were in that direction, so they've literally just woken up, all of them. I think they tried, but they haven't come right just yet because they're all looking a bit skinny. So I think maybe why, because those impala were alarming now, maybe that's why they thought they could go and have a look. Yeah, it seems, however, that they have decided that this is probably this is probably it. Leslie, you're wondering if I can see the lioness with the wound. I can't from where I am standing, and I don't know if you're referring to that puncture wound that one of the lionesses had on her back, but I can't see anything from here for now. But I'm sure we will stick around for a little while, and then we will have a look. I have a feeling, however, that the lioness with the wound is the one that we've been looking at, the one that got her head up but didn't start moving, just judging by some scratches that I see on her leg. So if we do see it, then we'll let you guys know how she's doing, if it's probably improved or not. But for now, it seems that whatever it is, it's not too bad, as they have been moving quite a distance. I'm not too sure if they had a bit of a limp when they were moving, because the last few times I've seen them, they've just been pretty much like this. It's getting quite hot over here, so while we patiently wait for these lions to get up, let's go over to Taylor, who's managed to find herself a dam. I wonder if she's gonna go try swimming in it. Well, I don't think any smart creature will move around to disturb a sleeping lions, and particularly 11 of them. I reckon you'd have to be quite brave to even think about doing that. I'm certainly not going to try. There we go. Well, this, out of all the youngsters, the one that's got his head up and is busy grooming himself, is the only one that actually started moving around, and as soon as the females got into a stocking position, he's the only one that went and joined. Well, I keep saying that it's a he, but I've actually got no clue if it's the young male or one of the females. I have been trying to maybe have a little bit of a look around, but I haven't found out yet who it is. Suppose we're only going to have to wait until they start moving around a little bit more, and then we'll know which one is the bravest of them all, of the little cubs. Or perhaps the hungriest of them all. It was very interested in starting the hunt with the females. Now we've got the 3 females here, or 3 of the females sleeping over here, and this sleepy cat over here, this is the one that went off and seemed to be the one that was a bit more intent on going after those impala. And she actually thought about it for quite a while until the impala moved off behind some bushes, and then she's just pretty much come back and decided that she needs some more energy. But in the process, it seems like she has gotten herself a little, maybe her version of a piercing. So she's got a thorny branch, looks like from a buffalo thorn, stuck onto her skin. Now, this is not hurting her in any way, and imagine if you're walking through the bush with your clothing. Sometimes you'll get little branches and twigs and things on you and won't necessarily bother you too much, but you're not aware of the fact that you're carrying them. I'm sure if she were to turn around and sleep on her left-hand side, then she would feel them. Now, this other female that we're looking at, that's very sleepy, this is the one that we think perhaps is the one that had the wound. Aaron, you say that this is an Nkuhuma carpet. I think it is. Now, we've got some bite marks at the back of this, or on the hindquarters of this lioness, so I wonder if this is not perhaps the one that had that big bite mark, but I think the bite mark was on her right-hand side from the last time I saw it, so it could very well be this one. I think it's the only one that's exhibiting any signs of any scars of anything else, and if it is her, maybe the superficial wounds have done very well in patching up and recovering, but I'm sure we'll only be able to tell once they start moving around. Annie, you say it looks so painful. Well, I think they are on the mend already, so I think if there was any pain, I think it's passed, at least from the wounds that we can see now. If she's got that other one that looked like a puncture one, like another lion had bitten her, maybe that one is still probably bothering her a little bit, but again, we'll only be able to tell once they start moving around if she's got a bit of a limp or if she's favoring her left side a bit more than the right side. And like we said earlier, I'm not even 100% sure that this is the one with the wound. Very likely it is her. And you see there are some naughty and horrible flies that are going into where the wound is. So we've got them all around, and this is why the lions take, or just predators in general, they are so hygienic. And then she's gonna, as soon as they start grooming and moving around, likely she's going to start grooming herself, trying to get rid of any fly eggs or maggots or anything that could be growing in her wounds. Those ones do look like maggots, but I am hoping that I'm wrong and that is actually some seeds. Although the wounds look quite superficial, so I don't think there's anything we need to worry about. Lions are very resilient creatures, and I think just looking at them, that's one of the biggest lessons we've learned in the last few years. Bobby, you're wondering if they would be bothered by thorns in their paws or if their paws are thick enough. Sometimes they do get little thorns in between their toes, and often you will see that they'll stop around and they'll start grooming their toes or just the bottom of their paws to try and loosen it and get the annoying thorn out of there. They are also, the paws are thick as they walk in an area that's full of thorns and just very rough soil. But every now and again there's a sneaky thorn that manages to get in there and go into their, well, go underneath their paws and into their skin. So if that does happen, often you will see them take their time with their paws and just try to loosen the thorns and get them out. Very adept at walking in this harsh environment. I mean, imagine if we had to walk around bare feet. I'm sure very quickly we would develop some sort of calluses all around our most vulnerable parts in our feet, just so that we can walk and spend a bit more time out in the bush. Pretty much the same for the lions. They live in this environment, so they need to be protected from even little things as thorns. Someone's sleeping quite peacefully. They are all of them here, and they've gone down, so I wonder if perhaps there's going to be another unaware impala that's going to walk past, that's going to wake them all up like they did, and that was quite something to watch. We're going to sit with the lions a little bit longer, see if perhaps they do wake up a little bit, but in the meantime let's go to Taylor, who's managed to find one of the few animals that is not afraid of waking lions up. Well, I'm not so sure if it's the lovely cool weather, which is definitely playing a part in here, or if it's actually been some of the vultures we've had flying around. It was funny enough because we couldn't hear anything, and then all of a sudden again, all of them woke up and they started looking up to the sky, and there were two vultures circling not too far from us. Yeah, she was looking exactly the way she is now. So we were wondering if perhaps the vultures saw us, like, oh, a pride of lions, maybe there's food somewhere down there. And once they started coming down, then they realized that these lions are still hungry lions and no food to be found around here. But they are looking somewhat alert. Every now and again they will get up, and you see even the flapping of the wings of the vultures in the sky flying above us or landing not too far from us. That's gotten them all up and looking in certain directions. So I think they are going to be a bit more active than perhaps they have been up to until now. But like we said, we just saw how easily it was for them to go back to sleep. So I'm hoping maybe the vultures were the last impulse that they needed. And having said this, I know it's generally believed that lions have a bit more success during the night and then they won't go hunting in the middle of the day. But I have seen lions hunt at midday during summer. So it's all a matter of opportunity, really. Likely they have a higher success rate during the night when it's darker and their prey species cannot see them. But if there was anything around here that might just be a good opportunity for them, like the impala were earlier on, I'm sure they would take that opportunity. And I wonder if perhaps, oh, there we go, we're all looking at the vultures flying ahead of us. I wonder if they don't think, because I'm sure lions know that when they've got a kill or when there's something on the ground, that the vultures come around. So I wonder if perhaps they're going to be curious enough to head towards where the vultures have been landing, because it is on the other side of the drainage from where we are. But I think maybe they're not that interested in that. Oh. There we go. I think there was a vulture flying. I think these vultures are confused. They don't have it right just yet. We've got the vulture that keeps flying around us, but there is no meat here. So I think maybe the vulture, like we said, got excited at the fact that there were some lions around here. Maybe thought that the lions had already been successful, which has not quite happened yet. Now I want to maybe have a bit of a closer look. Hello, girl. At least all of them have got their heads up. I do hope that they don't start walking in another general direction, and I hope they start walking towards where the impala were, mainly hiding behind a blade of grass. Aren't you a clever lioness? So like I was saying, I hope they walk roughly in the direction where the impala were. Video Jumper, you're saying that you love the sunlight on them because it's giving you beautiful screenshots. It is quite a dreamy sight, isn't it? And I think it's only going to get better as the light starts becoming slightly softer and the sun starts going down. So, whoop, they've gone down. I think it's been stressful, this hunt and looking for food, isn't it? So I think now that we've seen them twice moving around and just looking for food. So it's a good proof that sometimes it is hard also being the king of the jungle, or in this case the queen and princesses of the jungle. Their tummies are looking a bit empty, and they are very likely, or they have been likely, struggling the last few days to have something substantial to eat. Who knows, maybe they've gotten an impala, but like we said, an impala with all of them would last nothing. Christopher, you're wondering if there's any function of the markings around their eyes. By that, I imagine you are talking about those white lines underneath their eyes. Well, they've got the very important function of reflecting the light. So during the day, they will reflect the very harsh light and protect their eyes, almost acting like sunglasses. But during the night, that extra bit of light will be able to absorb. Yes, it seems like the one that we were looking at is definitely the one with the injury. She is going to attend to it right now. Sorry, Christopher, I'll get back to answering your question, but we've all been wondering about this particular female and her wounds. I had a bit of a glimpse when she moved around, and it seems like this wound is pretty much healed up, the same as the other ones that we were looking at earlier on. So, yay! Seems like the healing process is well on its way. And now just making sure she cleans it of any possible fly eggs or maggots or anything else that might be in there. So, good to know that you're healing well. So, Christopher, going back to your question. So, yes, then during the night, that extra bit of white is believed to help absorb a bit more of the light so that they can form a bit of a better picture and be able to see better when the light conditions are low. Seems like this is the way she prefers to sleep. I thought maybe she was walking a bit funny, but I think it was because she was stepping over some more lions. Beautiful, all of them around here. And they're sleeping so nice and tightly. I wonder if maybe the cubs are going to be the ones that start moving around. They seem to have their heads up. But I wonder how long this is going to last, because they've gotten that sleepy look and their heads are starting to tilt. Perhaps they'll just go back to sleep as well. They have definitely kept us on our toes today, these lions, looking up, moving around, going back to sleep and suddenly waking up again. Very exciting times ahead. I wonder where you guys are gonna go. This is indeed a carpet of lions, all of them very happily asleep, and probably now they're gonna start having a bit of a better snooze. Like Taylor was saying, it has been quite hot. I'm not even wearing a jersey this afternoon, although I started with one and I was afraid that I was gonna be cold the whole afternoon, but clearly not. So now there's a bit more shade where they were sleeping, so I think probably now is going to be a bit more comfortable for them. I do think they were a bit hot, although they chose to be in the shade, but sometimes lions do things that I cannot really explain, that go against all logic, like sleeping out in the sun when it's already quite hot. Are you also going back to sleep? Linda, you say this is the perfect Sunday afternoon. It is. I forgot it was Sunday afternoon. So it is very appropriate. I think maybe it would be more appropriate after they had a big, very nice Sunday lunch, but who knows? Maybe they're aiming for a Sunday dinner. Sorry. So it would be quite nice. Maybe we'll see them tomorrow on their Monday lunch, Monday breakfast. That would be quite nice to be able to see, but they've all been pretty static for now. So I think it's good, it's worth waiting. Like we said, sometimes patience does pay off when we spend some time with these animals. And what was that? Somebody got a bit of a fright. What are we listening to now, girl? I can hardly tell sometimes what they're looking at. It's maybe like, sounds that go at a level that clearly our ears are not able to pick up, or I don't know if there was anything else or any other movement that she's seeing in that direction. That was roughly where some of them in that direction where she was looking at, where some of the vultures were landing. So I wonder if perhaps that's what she's looking at. And you, beautiful cub. Looking very regal already at such a young age, don't they? Very healthy cubs. I'm always impressed just by how well this pride seems to look on every single occasion, even when they're going hungry. Beautiful. I think these three females are the ones perhaps that have the lead in the pride, because they are the ones that keep getting up and moving around and looking, and when anything moves around or makes a funny noise, they are the first three to get their heads up and start facing in the direction where the noise came. So I would assume that if there was anything else, or if it was time to move around, they would come and they would be the first ones to move. Sam, you're 9 years old and you're watching all the way from the Netherlands, and you're wondering how old can leopards get. Well, leopards. Why did I say leopards? Lions. Normally the females will live until they're about 10-15 years of age, normally on average 15, and the males, they will live until they're about 10-12 years of age. So the females tend to live a little bit longer than the boys. I think maybe this poor guys here have also gotten a case of annoying flies all around them. It's almost like this cub was giving us a side grin. A nice big yawn. Very impressive canines. Tucker, you're 5 years old and you're wondering if lions get blisters. Well, that is a very good question, Tucker. It's something that I have never thought about before. They get wounds like some of us do, but I don't think they get blisters on their feet for walking too much. Sometimes, perhaps, if they walk in very, very hot sand, they might, just like a normal dog, they might get cracks. And you see that the paws will go maybe a little bit red and they will hurt a little bit. But I don't think they get blisters like what we do. It seems like somebody's decided to come and join the rest of the lion pile that we've got there. I wonder if perhaps a better common name wouldn't have been a pile of lions rather than a pride of lions. It's funny, I thought they were going to be more comfortable in the shade, but I think this one has just moved precisely into the sun because it prefers to be a bit warmer. That doesn't look to be too much of a comfortable position, does it? Well, we've got the two youngsters that seem to have started waking up. They have been yawning a little bit. We saw this one show us its impressive canines a little bit earlier on, and going on to grooming themselves. So I think it's a good thing that we've got the two of them yawning and grooming and cleaning themselves. And you see, maybe there is a little bit of a thorn in there, and that's why it's trying to get out. Sometimes also annoying ticks getting between their toes and their paws, and they'll try to get them out. So maybe the fact that we've got two youngsters somewhat active might be a good thing. Aren't you brave? What is it that you're looking at there? No? Learning from the older females, and now she's heard something in that direction and she's facing there. But clearly the rest of the females are not too bothered by whatever it is that she could listen out in the open, because she's still sleeping down. And I think this one over here is Amber Eyes, just by judging of the color of her eyes and what we were looking at before. Maybe not the greatest of view now in the shade, but if we had to choose, this would probably be her.
Good afternoon. Got a lot of some positions on the station here.
Kennedy, you're 9 years old from Chicago, and you're wondering when the lionesses will start mating again. Well, they will only start mating and have new cubs once they have raised all of these cubs that are here. So if there's one particular female, like for example Amber Eyes, that we think doesn't have any cubs, she could go into mating anytime soon. But the other ones, the mothers of the cubs, they're only going to they're only going to start planning on having new cubs once all of these ones over here become adults. Because lions only raise one set or one litter at a time, so once those ones are old enough, then they will have the next ones. So I think maybe for another year or so we won't have any females coming, or any of the mothers of these cubs going back into heat. We're going back into mating season. Rami, you're wondering why lions live in groups or in prides, and how big is the largest pride? Well, the number of members in a pride depends on the area that they live in and how much food there is there. But I think the biggest pride recorded had about 40 lions or so in total in them. And I think it was actually in the Serengeti in Tanzania. So not too far from where our Mara friends are. This particular pride is only 11 lions for now. And why do they live in prides unlike any of the other cats that we have in the world? Well, there are a lot of theories about it, and nobody knows 100% why, but I think the widest or the most accepted theory that there is out there is that they live together to be able to raise all their young ones. So for a lot of the females of different species, their life centers around just having little ones and then successfully raising them into adulthood. Now, if you think about it, having the help and the company of other females when it comes to nursing them and finding food, then it will probably allow the youngsters a bit of a better chance into actually making it all the way to becoming independent. So it's also probably good for protection as well, having a lot more eyes looking after you than having to constantly fight every single other lion that you see in a particular area. Are you not wanting to socialize with anyone? Also, we've got a bit of a scar around his face, and her face, had a bit of a wound when we last saw her, but also it seems like this one has healed very quickly. It seemed like last time we saw it was a bit swollen on the right hand side of its face, just in between the nose and where that scar is. But I think lions have been doing quite well, and we've seen some of the wounds of that other female, and in general they've all healed quite nicely in the last week or so. I think maybe they had a hunting attempt. Tony from Holland, you're wondering how old the cubs would have to be safe from any other leopards that wanted to, on any other lions that wanted to come and do a pride takeover. Well, in very simple terms, to be safe, they shouldn't be cubs anymore. So they should be independent animals that do not rely on their mothers for hunting any longer. So for the boys, for the males, likely they would have to be in that stage where they could leave their family if another coalition of lions came into that area, so that they could survive and they'll probably become nomadic and move off elsewhere. And the females should be old enough that they could help the pride in terms of hunting, and also not be too far away from coming into heat and providing another pride or another male coalition with cubs. Now, if, for example, these cubs or even the older females want to bump into another pride of just females, likely it would be a very aggressive encounter. It doesn't matter what age they are, because the females of lion prides are territorial, so they don't allow other females to come into their area. And for example, if we had the Nkuhumas that we're looking at bump into the Styx pride of lions, which is another pride, very likely that would end up in a fight between the two prides, because they both want to defend their territory and they want to defend their cubs that they've got. So it's very aggressive always in the lion world. So I think the best thing for them is just, we hope that the Birminghams are going to stick around until this one's go into adulthood and they can be safe. Christine, you're wondering what age is considered adulthood for a lion. Well, it changes from area to area, but normally we consider any creature an adult when it can fend for itself and it does no longer need its parents to survive. Now, with most lions, that tends to be until they're about 2 to 3 years old. The females, like we said, they will stay in the pride where they were born normally, and the males will become nomadic and start moving off into a different area where they can hopefully settle themselves as the dominant males. But for males, it will take them a little bit longer. So although they are adults in the sense that they are independent at 3 years of age, they will only become territorial males when they're about maybe 5-6 years of age. Good. The little one that didn't seem to want to interact with the rest of the pride, moving closer. I think even probably tried to wake up Mom, but she was not interested. And perhaps, maybe, are you going to try and wake somebody else up? Yeah. Come on, wake up. Oh, isn't this sweet? I think this is the equivalent of coming onto your parents' bed and start jumping on their bed. Like, okay, hi, I'm awake. Please wake up. Seems like these lions are still quite sleepy. We will keep you posted if this youngster manages to wake all of them up. Well, I don't know if this is being patient or just decided that I'm more stubborn than all these 11 lions. I think perhaps it's a combination of the two. Now, they've just been up and, well, like they get up and then they go back to sleep and then they get up again and they go back to sleep again. So I feel like if we leave, we're going to miss something. So I have a terrible fear of missing out, FOMO as they call it, because what if they go hunting? So I think I'm just going to be stubborn enough to spend my afternoon with these beautiful lions. I mean, it could be a lot worse than this, don't you guys think? I think I've hit jackpot this afternoon. And the light is becoming so beautiful. Don't really want to leave them. Monique, you're wondering if I've ever heard lions sleep or growl in their sleep. I've heard them snore before. I've never heard them growl. So I don't know if maybe they weren't dreaming deep enough. But no, I've definitely heard some of them snore. Funny enough, I think I've heard more elephants snoring when they sleep than lions. But, oh, I lost my train of thought now. Snoring, yeah, but I have seen them twitch like animals do, or like domestic animals do, when it seems like they're dreaming, which is quite funny because then their face will start twitching and their legs and everything else. But it seems like all of the ones here, we have a group of non-snoring lions, all of them in very good condition, no blockages in their airways, no snoring whatsoever. Actually, they're being very quiet, to be honest. I think maybe we need another one of those vultures to fly past and then just wake them up. And the one that was here earlier on is still around. I'm sure it's maybe just going to start trailing the lions and hope that they make a kill. Although it is getting a bit dark, so if the lions do start moving only when it's dark, the vulture will have to start its search again tomorrow morning. Jackie, you're wondering when do I think they ate last? Well, we know that they had a kill on Buffelsuk about a few days ago, 4 or 5 days ago, and that's the last thing that we know for sure that they ate. I have a feeling though that they've been catching smaller things, because they look skinny, like they haven't eaten a good meal in a few days, but they don't look that skinny as in like they haven't eaten for 4 or 5 days. So I think maybe they have been surviving on smaller things. Perhaps they've caught themselves an impala or two the last few days, but likely they're on to something bigger. So something like a zebra, a kudu would be a good meal for them. I think buffalo would be first prize, but it's hard to tell because unfortunately we're not able to spend all of our night with them finding out. But I think that if we could, then we would see that they eat a lot more often than what we think about, especially during the night. But as we were commenting on earlier, imagine just one small impala for 11 lions. I think it would be almost like a nugget each. Not too many. Wonderful Sunday afternoon, isn't it? Just spending our time with these beautiful lions, sleeping and having a very nice siesta. They're outrageous. They got me going. I really thought that they were going to start moving earlier on because there seemed to be a lot more activity, but maybe they've gone back to sleep. I wonder if perhaps it's the weekend, because Tamba was pretty much like this yesterday as well. He sort of, it seemed for a moment there that he wanted to get up and then just found a more comfy spot and carried on sleeping. Although, you do look like a very cute fluff ball over there, all curled up like that, with that beautiful light coming through. The pile of lions it is. Someone's also quite very much asleep. Funny enough, sleeping with half an eye open, so maybe they do sleep with half an eye open just to look for everything else that's around. You can barely see her. Beautiful guinea grass that we're looking at. And a beautiful lioness. Seems like Taylor and I are in sync. Maybe she'll help the lions and just let them know that if they go all the way to Chitwa, guys, if you wake up and you start going, you might be able the very interesting web of lions that we've got down here that seem to be very sleeping. They even had the cheek. We had some lions snorting at some impalas snorting at them a few moments ago, and you can see that they were not really bothered by anything around them. I think it's too much of a good spot to sleep. There was another vulture that also came flying around and came back onto this area, so I think the vultures were definitely trailing the lions in hopes that maybe if the lions were sleeping down here, it could be a good spot to start looking for food. However, vultures, I don't think today is going to be your afternoon. Maybe you will have to wait until tomorrow. And hopefully these beautiful ladies and cubs will be having something very big to eat. I just can't believe how fast asleep they are. Beautiful little cub, very fast asleep. And what seems to be that hole that is in the middle of the drainage line, because he's very, very comfortable all the way in there. And I think it doesn't want to share it with anybody else. Claimed it for itself. Another little cub over there. And well, at least we've had one of the females change position of how she was sleeping. This is the one that the cub was grooming earlier on. And now she is pretty much hidden her head and sleeping down there. But what is interesting, you can see all the bite marks on her neck. A lot of those old scars that she's got there, or likely most of the scars that she's got over there, are old mating signs. Because often, or when lions mate them, when the males mount the females, they will bite them on the neck, and that's how they get all those little puncture wounds on their neck. So I'm sure this girl has had a few rough romantic encounters, and that's why she's got the scars that we can look at. Very interesting lions. They wear all of their scars with pride. Nick from London, you say that that lioness looked like she's been in the wars. I think pretty much any lion, to be honest, as soon as you start detailing their face, and particularly of the males, you will see tattered ears, scars on the noses, scars on their back legs, on their neck, and pretty much everywhere. The life of a lion is not an easy one. They are quite an aggressive society, even in between them, when they protect and look after themselves. But often when they're at kills, they will hurt each other or smack each other down to get that bit of an extra meal. And then when the males and the females mate, it's very aggressive behavior. And when they go hunting, you can imagine that there are all sorts of dangers involved, as the animals that they go hunting down don't go down without a fight. Oh, what you looking at? Is there anything out in the distance? I think this has been a horrible sleep for them, because they keep waking up, something wakes them up, and then they go back down to sleep, and then they get up again, and so on. Charlie, you're saying that if they were really hungry, surely they wouldn't sleep so much. Well, I think they are quite hungry. However, they're also very clever. So they know to wait, and they are very patient creatures to wait for the best opportunity to arise for them to successfully bring something down. Now, if they don't use the conditions around them, like the cover of darkness, the wind, and the sun position, then they might not get lucky, and they could waste so much energy in just trying to bring down every single animal that they see, rather than choosing a very good opportunity and having a much higher success rate. So I think what is interesting is just as well how patient they can be. Even when they're hungry, they will try to make the best out of the situations and work them in their favor, rather than going at any single creature, because the prey species that they're looking for are also very clever and have all sorts of anti-predation strategies to avoid getting eaten, pretty much. Now, might be a good thing that we've got one female and 1, 2, 3 cubs looking towards the western side. Maybe there's something there that they can hear. Perhaps this will be a decisive moment. I'm not too sure. They have surely kept me on my toes all of this afternoon, because like we said, we've seen them get up, all of them, all of a sudden, and then they all go back to sleep, and then they all get up. So it's been quite interesting to watch all of this behavior. And I think maybe because they are hungry, that's why they've been so edgy. Anything around them might be a good opportunity that they need to check out and see if it's going to work for them. Beautiful. Such beautiful light on them as well. And it's the little things, isn't it, that we can enjoy while looking at one of the biggest predators, or the biggest predator in this area. Land predator, let me put it that way, because I'm sure crocodiles can get a lot bigger than them. And gone back to sleep. Seems like Taylor has managed to go all the way to the dam, and she has found some terrapins. So let's go over to her and see how the little ones are doing today. They have finally started grooming, so it seems like it's Amber Eyes and that younger lioness that have decided maybe it's time to start the nighttime activities. That is a very thorough tick removal strategy that you've got going on there. That was quite funny. I'm dropping my mic here. Now, it's a good thing that we've got these two lionesses that are grooming each other so thoroughly, because it's maybe perhaps a good indication that the rest of the pride is going to be forced into waking up quite soon, which we really hope. Perhaps I wonder if we can see some of the ticks that you're trying to remove. So grooming each other is such an important part of the lion dynamics. It is perhaps the most important thing that they do in terms of keeping good relationships, grooming one another, and just reinforcing those social bonds and making sure that everybody knows that everything is well in the pride. They're all in this together and that there's some affection shown. And of course, then there's the very practical side of it, that any ticks, any residues of dirt that might be on their skin, then they are removed by another lion, who very likely can get to certain spots where a lion cannot get on its own body, because they sometimes just cannot contort in certain directions, especially underneath their necks, behind their necks, or around their ears. Oh, this is such a wonderful moment between the two of them. Now it's just the two of them that have been doing this, and the one on the right, she's the one that started grooming, and maybe she's the one that's decided that it's enough sleep, maybe it's time to start moving around. Oh, of course, as I say that, you have to go lay down. Elijah from Huntsville, you're 7 years old and you're wondering if lions sleep during the night. They can sleep during the night. I have seen them sleep during the night. However, they will also move a lot more during the night, and that's why they sleep for such a long part of the day. Yep, somebody's got his paw on somebody, no, on their own head. I thought maybe perhaps they were putting it on each other's, but no, look at them, both of them doing the same thing. I think they've come to the same yoga class together this afternoon. The contorting lion pose. Very thorough process, just getting rid of anything that might be in between the toes. Now they're so tangled up that I don't understand if she is looking for stuff in her own toes or if she's helping the other female's toes. I think maybe she's just doing her own toes, just by the angle. Very tough to tell. I don't think that's your foot. That's not your paw. Maybe it is. Oh, it was. Kobe, you're 15 years old and you're wondering what teeth she uses to get the ticks up. Well, she'll use her front teeth and her upper front and bottom front teeth. They are somewhat similar in structure to our front teeth, so those ones are easier to use as a comb to try and get those big fat ticks off of them. Sometimes that's why also they do that, almost like biting, but they don't really bite each other. It's just to try and loosen them and get them out. Interesting. Now, there are some oxpeckers that I can hear in the distance, which can be a good indication that perhaps there's a big mammal coming into the drainage lines. So maybe these lionesses have heard it too. They definitely looked into the area where the oxpeckers were calling. Oh, look at that. Well, that's a bit rude. And maybe they'll know where to start looking for potential prey species. I think you're tangled up with that leg there, aren't you? Seems like somebody had a bit of a sneezing bout there. Perhaps some grass flew into his nose. I know I've had it on a few occasions before. So I can relate to the sentiment. Ah, there we go. Some nice stretching. Well, that's not that nice, because that's very close to everyone. Natalie, you're wondering how the lions determine who grooms whom. Well, normally it'll start with females that are more closely related, so mothers and daughters, or the cubs and their mothers. And, oh my goodness, maybe that was it. And then it pretty much goes as a free-for-all. Everybody will pretty much groom anybody. Guys, honestly, you're playing with my feelings here. Such good expectations for you girls to get up and start moving around. Beautiful pose. And you see, there we go. We see the big toe, so we're seeing 3 of them, but also to the side, to the inner side of the paw that's at the bottom. That's where the 5th claw is, the famous dew claw that they use when in hunting. So it's very important claw when it comes to bringing the animal down, because a lot of the times that's what they use to hook down their prey and bring it down. Oh, you've covered it up now. You're being shy. Guys, girls, actually, I was so sure that you were gonna get up. Natalie, you're wondering if lions dream. I think to some extent they do, but I'm not too sure if it's been determined that they dream like perhaps domestic animals do. But I do know that they get into this very deep REM cycles when they sleep. So likely I imagine they do. What they dream about though, I'm not too sure. Perhaps of a big fancy piece of steak today. Alright, well, we've got hope that you're going to tell them all that it's time to start moving, because you haven't stopped grooming, which is a good thing. Too many things in your skin today, in your coat. Snooky, you're wondering if lions get fleas like your dog does. Yes, they do. They get ticks and fleas and just little parasites here and there, because as you can imagine, when they start moving through these areas full of pretty much any type of life you can imagine, they'll pick up a thing or two on their fur when they start moving around. So that's why also the grooming is so important. It allows them to get rid of all these things that are jumping around on top of them. I think maybe they've been walking through some very funny places, because they just seem to have been spending a lot more time grooming their paws and their legs than any other part of their body. So I wonder if perhaps its drainage lines had a few more thorns or perhaps even parasites at some of the other places. But you can look now, the claws coming out. Very, very sharp claws. There we go. So definitely don't want to be anywhere in range of those powerful tools. Incredible. And now that she's not flexing her foot anymore or her paw anymore, then the claws have been retracted back onto their little pouch where they normally keep them to avoid or prevent from them getting broken or blunt. Oh, that is impressive, isn't it? No one likes me. You're wondering at what age the cub starts hunting for prey. Well, these youngsters that are about a year old, they have already started accompanying their mothers when they go out hunting. However, because it's such a tricky thing being a lion and they hunt together, then I think it's going to be at least another year before they start being successful on their own and not ruining their mother's hunts. So, 10 sleeping lions and 1 grooming herself. Well, hello. Oh, there go the claws again. Being very careful not to hurt the cub. Powerful, isn't it, that you can show somewhat affection or just take those claws out and not hurt each other. Whoop. And release the grip, and the cub has gone all the way down. So you've gotten up. Are you going to start waking the rest of them up? It's the second time you've had this big, nice stretch. Oh no, it wasn't you. It was the other one. I'll forgive you. I got excited there. No. Waking up is such a long process for lions. This is them waking up. And I know it doesn't seem real. And it's been going on for very long. But we've had them grooming, and then they get up, and then they stretch, and then they move around. So it's almost like they've got to convince the rest of them that, hey guys, okay, it's time now. And everyone's slowly going to get out of their slumber and start moving around and grooming one another. And it's almost like convincing them takes a strain. Now, the one that moved onto this area, she is busy doing two things at a time. She is scratching herself, and she is grooming that other lioness that was sleeping down there. So, like I said, good potential indication that they are not going to carry on toying with our feelings, and that they might get up and about before the show closes, so that we can accompany them for a bit of their nighttime activity. I wonder if perhaps it's almost like a game of tag, you're it. As in like, okay, I've groomed you. Off you go. You groom the next one and the next one, and so they go. Got some old wounds there on the neck. Also, they seem like bite wounds, perhaps from another lion. They do look also like mating wounds, just judging by how close they are to the center of their spine. Now, this is a very agile lioness. She's grooming and scratching herself. Cecilia, you're wondering if the Birmingham boys are still around, and if they are, who's protecting this pride? Well, the Birminghams are still around, very much so. We have had some mystery ones moving in and out of the reserve, and judging by the tracks that we had this morning, at least one of them was with the pride sometime during the night, but he's carried on moving, and he went into a certain direction, and the rest of the pride, well, they came further south from where the boy went. Now, the Birminghams have been splitting their time amongst quite a few different prides of lions in this area. We've got the Torchwoods and the Sticks that they seem to have been accompanying for the last few weeks or so. So hopefully we'll be able to see them. We did see one of them, which we think was Nena, 2 or 3 days ago. But the rest of the pride was not around. So while they are around in this general area, they're also protecting pretty much all their cubs and all the prides of females that are in their territory, just to make sure that no other strange males come onto this area and start either trying to mate with their females or killing the cubs or taking over their territory. So the Birminghams are doing what they do best, which is pretty much patrolling everywhere else around here and keeping tabs with all the different prides of females that are in this area. Seems like Taylor has joined us back on Djuma, so let's go over to her and see where she's gonna go. I'm sorry, I was talking on the radio and got completely caught up in that, just trying to let one of the guys know where we are so that they can come and have a look. It seems like one of the females and the young cub have been grooming for the last little while, so I am hoping that there'll be some action or some movement around in the next little while. It was very cute at some point. He was just holding his head or her head and pinning the mom down and just getting all sorts of loving, which was very, very sweet. Are you going to give your mother some more love? Aww. Got a fright. I'm so happy I was watching her. Alright. Good bath. Oh, we've got 3 lions with their heads up. These are good times. Nice big yawn. I wonder if they're going to decide to start moving around anytime soon. Hello, pretty girls. Well, it does seem like it's a good thing. I see a lot more yawning going on. A lot more heads are starting to get up. So, I don't know. toyed with our feelings the whole afternoon, so let's just maybe stand by and see. But you can see now in the frame there's a lot more movement by a lot more lions than what we had a few moments ago. So it's a good thing. I love it when they start getting their heads up and they all start doing the same thing. Very typical contagious behavior for lions. They'll all start once. One starts doing something, it seems like the rest of them also engage in that activity, like grooming or yawning, and until pretty much everyone in the pride is doing it. Now we've got some young rebels that have not realized that this is grooming time and are not awake yet. Yeah, we are talking about you two in there. I think these two have decided that they're not particularly bothered just yet. And there's a third one over there also sleeping. Izzy, you're wondering if lions see in color or in black and white. Well, it is believed that they see in shades of black and white, and part of the reason for it is because they have more of a certain cell in their eyes called the rods rather than the cones, which are the color or the cells that allow us to view in color. Now, when they have more rods, this allows them to see a bit better during nighttime, but it allows them to pick up movement a lot quicker as well. So widespread belief is that they see in shades of monochrome colors rather than in color. Although there are some new studies that suggest that they can see some colors, but I think it's all still quite a big debate. Waking up. Vivian, you're wondering if they get hairballs like domestic cats with all this grooming. Well, I've never seen a hairball come out of a lion. So I would imagine they do eat quite a bit of hair, but perhaps doesn't happen quite like the cats. I think also the problem with our domestic cats is that their hair tends to be a lot longer than the one of the lions, and that's perhaps why they get the hairballs. Don't know. It would be interesting. I've never seen a lion regurgitate a hairball. I think at this point in time, more than hair, they're trying to get rid of parasites or perhaps any pieces of dirt or branches or thorns that might have gotten into their skin. Now I am starting to get a bit optimistic. 4 females have got their heads up and are grooming themselves. Sorry, Megan, I believe there was a comment from Leo Tunney, but I couldn't hear the first part of it. Oh, so you're saying kudos to me for having big cats for 2 days running. Thanks, but I don't think I can claim it all for myself. Fuel, nice saving on fuel. Okay, that makes a lot more sense, yes. But I think it's just been lucky. I mean, we were quite thankful that Taylor found them this morning, so that was perfect, because then we knew exactly where we were going to come to check for them. Now, I was hoping, to be honest, to spend a bit of fuel following them as they moved around, but it seems like they had a different plan. So often our activity is dictated by the activities of the animals that we're looking at. I think it's the last 2 days or the last 2 evenings have been very good on developing my patience skills, because they have certainly made me wait for them. But yes, I think Tristan would be quite happy that next time we go to town we're going to have to buy less fuel. It's always good to save on fuel. Beautiful. Somebody's rolling around. Waking up, are we? Alright, bit of a scratchy. See, there's lots of movement around, lots of stretching. Even the cubs that were nice and sleepy in the background seem to to realize that it's time to start stretching out, getting ready. Monique from London, you say that you find very calming to watch these lions groom each other. I think it's a very special moment, just a bit of a more vulnerable side of their personality. Especially these two females being so gentle and so tender with one another. Beautiful. Oh my goodness. You're gonna carry on giving me frights. Always the one that I'm not looking at is the one that sneezes. Alright. Well, it's a good sign that also some of their biological needs are being attended to, because it's a good way of thinking that they're going to start moving. Although it does seem like you were also looking at something, but I can't really see what you was looking at earlier on. And I wonder if we're going to see them on the dam cam this afternoon, because if they all start moving in that direction, we're not too far from the dam, so maybe that's where they're going to be headed. Or perhaps they saw something else, again, something that we're not able to pick up. Alright, we are going to switch to infrared, as we are sure these lions are going to go off and probably looking for food, so we don't want to spook their prey or give them the bit of an advantage over their prey. This is incredible. All of them walking so close to us. I think, Seb, we have got the best job in the world. For sure. I am so happy. Alright, I just want to start repositioning myself. Mom, you're wondering if I can smell them from this distance. I don't really smell anything in particular, so no. If we were closer, they might smell. When they scent mark, that's when it's... Well, they also lie and smell a bit like popcorn. But right now, we can't really smell anything in particular. And they're all around us, so I'm going to try not to move too much, because again, I don't really want big lions thinking that they can eat me. As my mom would say, I'm just a chicken wing. So... I wonder what she's looking at. They're all going a bit more into the open, which is great news, because it'll make our lives a bit easier when it comes to following them. But I think... Oh no, you are not going to start laying down in the open area, are you? Beautiful line of lions right in front of us. This is magnificent. Okay. My head...
Yeah.
I'm trying to move out, sorry. Alright, there is one cub scratching its claws on the tree right next to us. Sorry, that's why my head was in the way, as you see. I'm trying to get out of the way to give you guys a better view, but he is pretty much by our wheels, so it's a bit tricky. Now, the rest of the females have gone onto this open area. And slowly they have carried on walking around. And it was funny. There was no fuss about it. Just one started walking, and then the rest of them instinctively knew that it was time to start moving around. Somebody's not willing to move around. Standing by. Ephraim, you're welcome to come and join. Beautiful, all of them. Now, even the last cub, that was maybe the last one sleeping, has started to walk in front of us. Now, it seems like the older females have got more of a stock pose, and they are directing each other and telling the cubs where to go, but I think this is also going to be a slow process while all of them pretty much shake their slumber and start moving around. Hello, beautiful cub. Now, these are the last two. Interesting. Slowly, slowly, all of them moving around. Wonderful. I think all of our afternoon of patience was worth it just to see them all get up and move so close to us. This has been magnificent. I was really worried that they were all going to sleep all the time and not even wake up slightly while we were here. Are you guys just going to go sleep over there now? Seems like Taylor has managed to find one of the most curious nocturnal creatures, so let's go over to her while we discuss with these lions if they're gonna start moving or not. Well, they are up and about. However, it seems like we've got a bundle of cubs over here. 5 of them have been left somewhat behind, and I think the females have carried on going. It seems like maybe they'll pop down to Vuyatela or to Gauri Dam for a drink. I think that's roughly the direction where they were headed, and we're not too far from it, so hopefully they'll be there. But I'm a bit more concerned at the fact that these cubs have stayed behind and the females have carried on moving, and there's been impalas snorting around us all of the afternoon. So I wonder if perhaps they're not trying to go around and catch one of those impala that's been in this area. We're gonna give them a few minutes, and if there's nothing happening around here, then we're gonna go back to the roads and see if perhaps we can spot any of the females. I think very exciting times ahead. I reckon these lions are going to have quite a long night, and hopefully they won't have a long night. Hopefully they'll be successful and they'll be able to enjoy a good meal. As you can see there on the frame, we've got the 3 on the left hand side, and then we've got 2 on the right hand side, and I think one of the other ones is just a bit further ahead. Tanel, you're wondering how the cubs know when to stay behind. There is some sort of communication, maybe practice, or maybe just instinct, and they know exactly when to stay behind because they're not old enough to participate in the hunts just yet. So as they start getting older, often they're going to ruin the hunts because they're going to get a bit too excited and they're going to think that they can approach the prey when they can't really. So I think maybe now they've also learned by experience that when the mothers start walking in a certain pose, that it's a good cue for them to stay put and then just wait. I wonder where they've all headed off to. Terrence, you're wondering how we know which ones are the leaders. Well, often there will be a female that's slightly older and more dominant in the way that she will maybe fight them off, kills more often than not, and just once she starts moving around, and the rest of the pride tends to follow her in her movements. There's a bit of a hierarchy that's earned by just showing how strong they are. I wonder if they have carried on towards the dam. You see, these youngsters are very still. So the mothers have definitely gone off on the hunt. Like we said, we had impala around this area pretty much all of the afternoon, so I wonder if that's what the females are going to go after. I haven't seen any buffalo around here, so I think maybe buffalo is not on the menu tonight. Perhaps some zebra. There were also some zebra around here earlier on. Still trying to see if perhaps we can see any of the other females moving along. We're going to maybe go back to the road, see if we can pick up where these females have gone off to. But while we do that, let's go over to Taylor, who's got her spotlight out. The cubs are all around here. We tried going and looking for the females, but it seems like the females are heading more towards the dam. So we're going to try and go around and see if perhaps we can relocate the females around the camp, around the dam, because the cubs are very patiently waiting around here. Now, we tried following them all the way through this thicket. However, I think that it's a bit too thick for even Wendy to try and maneuver around here. So actually, we're going to try and get us out of here and see if perhaps we can just relocate on the adults that are, I'm very sure, busy hunting. But how sweet are the cubs? They know how to behave and how to stay put and which way is best for them to go once the mothers go off hunting. Now I'm trying to get us out of here, but like I said, it is a bit thick, so I need to be able to see what's going on here. Hopefully if I go around here, that'll be fine. And we're gonna go through a bit of a tough spot. Alright. I think maybe... Well, we've got such a lovely view of the two of them there that I think it's worth just spending our last few moments with them. Just keep your eyes on the dam cam. I'm sure they will pop out there, because that's straight the direction where the females were heading off to. I can't believe you're still sleepy. You just woke up. I think the other one agrees as well. Nice grooming going on. What exciting times. I'm sure they're going to have a very, very, very interesting night just moving around. And like I said, keep your eyes open on the dam cam. Maybe we'll see them going all the way down there and having a drink. That would be wonderful, wouldn't it? I think the females are on the road walking in that direction, and the cubs are still waiting here. So lots of life around any water source at the moment. Maybe some warthogs. There's always a wildebeest somewhere around, and of course all the impala that we heard around here. I think it's going to be a very interesting night, and who knows, maybe tomorrow we will wake up to find more tracks and have more news about how these lions have been faring during the night. Interesting. Very interesting times ahead. I think we have had a wonderful Sunday afternoon. I don't think we could have asked for anything else. We've seen them get up. We had Tingana this morning. We saw them walking today. I think it's been a wonderful weekend all ahead. We can be very grateful for the wonderful day that we've had, and we'll see you all tomorrow to see what happens.